What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Joe Nissim, and with me, as always, is Mr. Raman Singh. Raman,
What's
we are
happening? I'm
one.
holding the mic today. I'm holding
Woo!
the mic today.
You got that that late night radio smooth jazz DJ voice right
Well,
now.
welcome to CFP Talks.
So, it's a smooth ocean. We are 1 month out. Can you believe it?
Man, time flies when you're having a good time, right?
No. Depends on who you
I
ask.
mean, like depending on who you are.
CFP students may have a very different version of that.
Yeah,
So let's chat about this last month because I think for a lot of people, this is when the exam becomes truly real. Now the exam it's here, right? It's less than a month away. And I'm kind of flipping my calendar and I don't even have to hit the forward button on my electronic calendar more than once anymore. It's getting freaky. If I'm using my day planner, oh my God, it's right here. I can see it. It's highlighted. I put exam day, I highlighted it, I circled it, and I know it's that day. And we typically see, as you know, two types of students in the last month. We
yeah,
see the student who kind of underestimates the exam, and then we see the student who tends to try to do too much.
right.
All right. And I know you're kind of more in that camp of seeing a lot of students who kind of underestimated. Why do you think, even with a month to go, why do you think students still tend to underestimate the exam? And when do they typically get kicked in the butt to go, oh my God, this is actually a much tougher exam than I realized?
Yeah, great question. So, a lot of the students that I work with, they're retakers, right? So, and what I hear from them normally is that, Ramen, I exhausted the Q bank, right? I was just answering practice questions. Like a matter of fact, I had a student. He's like, Ramen, I am doing 100 questions a day right now. I'm like, we're 2 months away. Like, I don't know if 100 questions a day is going to help you pass the exam right now if you're
Right.
2 months away from taking the test.
Mm.
Because the thing is, a lot of people go with the misconception that, okay, well, I studied for the seven this way, I studied for the 66 this way, and I've been in the industry enough, and let me just go ahead and do the practice questions, and that'll get me situated. And then what they'll do is they'll take the CFP board's practice test, that free test that everybody gets. I mean, we all know what the level of difficulty on that test is, right? So people end up building this reassurance, but it's almost like a fake reassurance. And then they go in to sit in for the exam and they're like, oh, crap. Like, I didn't see these questions. That's what I tell people. If you come up with if these words come out of your mouth saying, I don't remember seeing these questions, well, you're not supposed to see the same questions.
All right.
And that's what's happening with people who underestimate the test because they're relying too much on the Q bank. And then at this point they're going to even aggressively start taking more practice questions, and they've done the Q bank twice at this point and they've reset it and
Mm.
their scores have gone up. But is it enough though? That's the question.
Mm. Do you think that just using the Q bank is too casual of a prep that, you know, and let's think about it from the standpoint of I am just a regular CFP student. Okay. I don't have a lot of time. My career is advancing. I have a family. Maybe I have young children. And so I get an hour a day. I get 90 minutes a day. And then on the weekends, even when I think I'm going to have more time, I don't because I end up having to go to a soccer game or a football game or this game or the kids had this activity or I forgot that we had this or that. It wasn't on the calendar. I thought it wasn't. Anyway, here I am. So I'm going to learn the best that I can from the Q Bank and just reading the answer explanations and I'm going to go from there. Do you think that that's too casual of an approach?
you know so you remember how earlier we were talking about the standard deviation bell curve on like level one,
Yes.
two, and three, right? It's the low probability high impact,
Yeah.
right? If there are 100, let's just say 1,000 people who are doing this strategy, It might work for a couple of them. Now, does that mean that you fall under that probability? It's now is just a matter of taking a chance.
Hmm.
So my point is, can it work? For majority of the people, it will not work. And if you consider yourself as part of, hey, I'm the one who falls under and then the first level of standard deviation, 90% of the time, I'm part of that, then no, it's not gonna work.
Hmm. So why doesn't it work? Why can't I just read answer explanations, go and take the test?
I think we've talked about this before in one of our episodes. The CFP exam, the way it's testing us is it first wants us to understand a concept. And then from understanding the concept, they want us to make sure we have memorized that concept so we can extract that information from out of our mind when it's necessary. And which leads us to number three, we have to apply that concept. And thing is, if you just start taking practice questions, practice questions, practice questions, you may, let's just say you understand the concept. I'll give you that. And you memorized it because you've done it on repetition. But did you really learn how to apply that concept from any different perspective? No, you just understood the concept and applied the concept from one test bank. Like the example that I give some of my students, I have a student in Houston. I was doing the Series 7 tutoring with them. And I was like, you work in the Galleria. Fair. I like you know how to go from 249 to 299 to 610 to get to the Galleria. Sure. You know your end destination is Galleria, but let's just say 249 shut down or 299 shut down. How do you get to the Galleria then? Can you go? And if the answer is no, then you obviously don't know your roadmap at that point. You don't know your concept. That's the same thing with the CFP exam is like, yeah, you know how to get to this answer using Dalton, but do you know how to get to the answer using this just the CFP exam questions?
Right.
That could be any material.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It's I have a lot of friends who swear by Google Maps, and my argument back is, well, if Google Maps is not working, how do I get there? Like I don't really know how to get there, and I don't. And the thing is that when you start to memorize a roadmap, which is a wonderful and effective starting point, it's a great way because it's going to get you familiar. But if you're never forced to go some other way or find another way, you're not problem solving. You're memorizing.
Yeah.
And so that's a great way to think about it. And I remember when I first moved to LA, I would use my map to get somewhere, but then I would try to figure out how to get home. And
Mm.
I got lost a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's actually how I ended up discovering a lot of stuff in LA that I wouldn't have figured out on my own just using the map because I'd go somewhere and I'd come back because I was trying to figure out how everything connected. And
Right.
I was trying to figure out a way around the 10 at 5 o'clock, which is one of the most awful roads to travel at 5 o'clock. And to go 6 miles from Santa Monica, which is where I was on a Wednesday, to Culver City, where I live, it took forever. I needed to find some other way to get home, and I figured out this back road, and I messed it up 3 or 4 different times. But then I figured it out, and I was like, oh, thank God I figured it out. It saved me 20 minutes. And a lot of us are going in where it's okay, I know this way, and I only know this way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
if you change it on me, I'm screwed.
Yep.
And I tend to think that the people who are writing the CFP exam are very much aware of that. They're not dummies. And they know that if you've prepared in one way and only that way, even if we just change it a little bit, we know we're going to put you in a position where you don't know the material. And we don't want you to pass because you don't know the material. And because you don't know the material, because if we change it, and I tend to think it's a good thing from the CFP standpoint that they're preparing you for what you're going to see in practice. We see a lot of similarities in clients, but we never see two clients that are the same. We
Right.
know that if I say one thing to one client, they may take it, internalize it, and go, thank you very much for that advice. If I say the same exact thing to another client, that may cause them to panic.
Right.
We know that inherently. We don't necessarily. So why would we test you in any kind of a different way?
Right, exact. CFP board wants us to be good at applications
Yes, and problem solving.
and problem solving. So
100%.
you know, you asked me a question, you know, about the students who are not doing enough. So here's some tidbits for those students. You have a month left. You should be focusing on understanding your material and your knowledge base. If you're looking at questions and you just answer the question because, oh, I know the answer is C because I've seen this question before, you're digging yourself a bigger hole. So what you'd want to do instead is you would want to make sure that you read a question and you understand every little thing that's inside the question. But most importantly, like I tell all my students, tell me why A is incorrect. Don't tell me why C is correct because you've seen it before, right? Tell
Right.
me why A is incorrect. Don't be like, well, it's incorrect. Well, why? Why is B incorrect?
Mm.
If you could just start focusing on that stuff over the course of next 30 days while learning the material and then applying those practice questions on a daily basis, but don't end up just taking a 100 question test every single day, right?
Mm.
Understand the questions, understand the material, and be good at eliminating stuff. That's
That's
what I have to say from my side. But what about you, Joe? What do you have to say to the other side of those students?
well, I think like if we flip this on its head and you're the student that's like, what else can I be doing? What else can I be doing? What else can I be doing? And you're starting to get that overwhelming panic of I'm not doing enough. There's something that I'm missing. Oh my God, I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more. Anytime that I've ever felt like this, it's typically because not I'm not doing enough, but I'm not doing it at the level that it's required.
Mm,
And so if you're that student that's has this overwhelming feeling of panic, like I need to do more, I need to do more, my scores are not higher, my best piece of advice to you is stop and do better quality.
mm,
Like instead of trying to take two quizzes, do a one quiz, do it open book and do it in the most painful way possible where you're forcing yourself to look up every question, read paragraphs, go back, problem solve and figure something out because you're going to get a lot more out of that instead of just answering the question and looking at the answer and reading and going, okay, work to the point where you have to figure it out on your own and don't hit that button where you're going to see the answer because every time you do that you're just crutching yourself.
right.
And that's probably what's causing your feeling of panic is that you're sitting there going, I don't know the information. And you're probably right. Your instinct is correct. However, it will not change unless you change what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're that student that's sitting there and panicking and overwhelming, force yourself to look up every answer and problem solve instead of just doing, I'm going to go do 100 questions. Do 50, but try to get every single one of them right without clicking the answer and just seeing what it is.
Yeah.
And it's a tough instinct to fight because I need to know what the answer is, right? And you know what this is like, right? Oh, somebody just help me. Like, I need help. I need to say, I need to see the answer. You have to fight that instinct and try to work and solve it and do the best that you can. Because what that does is it's going to force your brain to start problem solving. And it's hard work. It's not fun. It's not easy. But if you put yourself in that position where you force yourself to figure out the answer without getting any hints or any clues, you're eventually going to start to connect the concept.
Yes. I
That's where the
absolutely.
real learning happens.
I think you nailed it right on the point, Joe. It's not about the quantity of questions, it's about the quality of how you're answering those questions and and being able to interpret everything that's in there so you understand like okay, like this is what I'm being asked.
Right.
This is why this is happening. And and the moment you could perfect that, then you could have any CFP level question given to you. I mean, we could throw a question your way. You know, you could have Danko's task, you could have Zan's task, you could have Biff's task, you could have any task. And you'd be like, I know how to solve this question because I know my material. I know how to do the process. I know how to identify this. I know how to identify those keywords. So no, I 100% agree.
Right? And we know this. Any good practitioner, like if I take a really good chef and I put him inside of any kitchen, they'll figure out a way to make it
Yeah.
work because they know their tools and they understand how to prepare food. Where an amateur chef will go, I don't have the right pot, so I can't do this. I
Yeah.
don't have the right knife, so I can't cook this meal. Right? I need somebody to, no, 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 no. They'll figure out a way where they'll slow down, they'll speed up. They know that if I'm using this type of a pan, then maybe I'm going to cook it a little differently than with this type of pan, because that's what trial and error and not getting hints and not being told every answer gives you, is that you have to experience the feeling of being wrong,
Yeah.
even when you think you're right. And
Yeah.
then going, I didn't think about that. But if every time you just click and read the answer, what have you actually really tried?
You're
So,
making it too easy for yourself, hence why you're not going to be able to learn.
right. And this is where multiple choice fails our students because it's not meant for learning, it's meant for testing. So when we take something that's really meant for testing and try to use it for learning, that's where it ends up slowing you down,
Yeah.
where you feel like you're doing, and you will do a lot of work, but it moves the needle this much.
Yeah.
It's just a teeny tiny amount. So it's a lot of work for very little. Where if I'm putting in that work, I want the needle to move.
Yeah.
So
100%.
so make sure that your time is being spent wisely. So as Raman said, even if you're in a limited window and the only thing that you're going to do, you're going, I'm not going to read, I'm not going to watch a video, and you want to, and that's the way you want to approach it. Cool. But then you better do what Raman said, which is if you don't know why every single question that you're answering, why you're answering what you're answering, why the other ones are incorrect, you're guessing. It's a guess and
Yeah.
check. On the other side, if you feel like you need to be doing more, bear down on quality, challenge yourself, write it out. Make sure that you understand why you're answering and show your steps of problem solving instead of just clicking and reading the answer. Clicking and reading the answer is the fastest way to panic
You know, fastest way to fail the test.
and the fastest way to fail the test. So, with that being said, everybody, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you videos just like this one. And we will see you guys on our next episode.